Newsworks in cooperation with Eau Claire County. This program is simulcast on WRFP-LP 101.9 FM.
Okay, folks, it is 7 o'clock. I call to order this regular, somewhat irregular, meeting of the County Board of Supervisors of Eau Claire County on this Tuesday, April the 8th. First item on our agenda is the call to order, which I've just done. Even though we're not present in the room and we're not placing the same flag, I'm going to ask all of the supervisors to unmute and together recite the Pledge of Allegiance. You ready?
Ready. Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America
and to the
to the
republic
republic
which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation under God,
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll have a moment of reflection by Supervisor Gatlin. I ask all the members to mute your microphones now.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I struggled with how or what to reflect on this evening. I don't feel qualified to offer words of wisdom or a lecture on the transpired failures which perpetuated to get us here, or profound philosophical complex hooey, or yet another reminder of how we are all in this together. So reflect on these simple statements. Each of us has to cope with the daily challenges, maneuvering through this pandemic in our own way. We have to choose peace over panic. Do the best that you can, the best way you know how, one day at a time. Be patient and be kind. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Gatlin. Next item is a call of the roll, and I'm going to ask, are you doing this, Samantha, or is Janet doing it?
Janet is going to do this. However, I want to advise I'm going to unmute all the callers because I don't know which one Catherine Schneider is.
Okay.
So if all the callers can be muted except for Catherine so she can state her name.
So who's doing roll call?
That would be Janet.
Gibson,
Hello?
McKinney,
Here.
Knight,
Present.
Pagonis. Stella's there. I'm not hearing her.
Yep. Well, I unmuted. So
Okay. Anton? I thought somebody said he came on too, but I'm not hearing him.
yeah,
He's still muted.
he's on. He's there.
Okay.
There he
Moritz? Moritz?
present,
Chilson? Stelgis? Maury?
Here.
Coffee?
Here.
Henning? Bates?
Here.
Russell? Gatlin? Okay, I'm not hearing Russell and I'm not hearing Gatlin.
Gatlin is there.
This is Judy. I'm present.
Okay, Smyer?
Here.
Russell is
Neiman?
present.
Who just said they were present?
Connie Russell.
Thank you. Neiman?
Here.
Dunning?
Here.
Wilkie?
Here.
I know Wilkie's on there, but I'm not hearing him.
He's here. He's here.
Thank you. Anderson? Beckfield? Schneider?
Here.
Leary?
Here.
DeLuca?
Here.
Jansen?
Here.
Schroffnagel?
Here. Here.
Roberts?
here,
Frank?
Here.
Lavelle?
Here.
Thank you.
Nick, if I could just interrupt, Supervisor Schneider, can you just speak one more time so I can catch your caller ID?
So you're going to leave me unmuted?
That's correct. Thank you.
Yes.
22 present.
Okay, we do have quorum. We will proceed. Next is approval of the Journal of Proceedings for March the 17th, 2020. You have that in your packet. I guess we actually could do this by voice vote. Could I have a motion to approve the Journal of Proceedings?
Motion by Bates.
Second by Gibson.
Who made the motion?
Bates.
Bates.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Are there any deletions, corrections, and so on to the Journal of Proceedings? I hear none. We will do this by voice vote. All those in favor of approval of the Journal of Proceedings of March 17th indicate by saying aye.
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 All those opposed by nay. The ayes have it. It is unanimous. Thank you. Next, we'll go to public comment. Samantha, how are we handling this?
I have 2 members of the public that would like to speak. I'm going to unmute everyone, and so those 2 may speak. So if you're a caller, please mute your device unless you will be speaking. And then Nick, I will call them if that is okay.
Yes, thank you. And remind people of the 3-minute limit.
Scroll down.
Our first public commenter is Amy Westham.
I'm here.
Go ahead.
Do I begin?
Yep.
Okay. My name is Amy Westham. I am a resident of Eau Claire County and an employee with the Eau Claire County Clerk of Courts Office. Thank you for being fiscally mindful of the county as a whole. I am coming to you today regarding the current PTO policy and our significantly reduced work hours. As explained to us, the current PTO policy requires us to use PTO to reach our 40 hours per week as a full-time employee before we are permitted to take unpaid time or apply for unemployment. We respectfully make the request to amend the current policy only for this current unprecedented challenging situation to assist us as employees to also be fiscally responsible in our own household. Number 1, to amend the current PTO policy to allow employees to use the PTO as they request so that those that have remaining PTO can stretch it out for as long as possible instead of requiring us to use it to get to 40 hours per week. For example, I would work 20 hours and use 10 PTO hours so to allow my 40 hours of PTO to stretch 4 weeks instead of 2 weeks. This would have zero cost to the county other than minor administrative costs. Or number 2, provide employees with additional PTO to make up for the PTO needed to be used to cover our reduced hours. Or number 3, allow employees to elect to be furloughed to collect unemployment without requiring the employees to exhaust their PTO. Or number 4, allow employees to go into the negative for PTO to survive this event capped at 80 hours. We are only asking for this policy to be amended for this current situation, and the PTO policy would remain unchanged for all other situations. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Samantha?
The second public commenter I have is David Carlson.
Hi, my name is David Carlson. I'm an Eau Claire resident and the Rights for All campaign regional organizer for the ACLU of Wisconsin. I've asked to comment tonight about concerns over the jail population amidst the COVID-19 threat. I'd like to first thank Captain Brzezina for his public update today. These types of updates provide great relief to community members invested in the welfare of those incarcerated in county jails and state prisons. This public address is also a statement from the community and law enforcement that just because people make mistakes does not mean their lives are not just as valuable as any others. My efforts at finding information regarding measures being taken within the jail began on March 23rd at the behest of Eau Claire community members. From that time until today, I and community partners have worked diligently to gain a clear and comprehensive picture of procedures being followed within the jail, That understanding was provided today by Captain Brzezina. Now, where do we go from here? The awareness and involvement of the community is essential to successful operations of the jail throughout the remainder of this pandemic. The public's awareness, coupled with the Sheriff Department's continued transparency, will allow for resources to be obtained for individuals being released or individuals who have come into contact with law enforcement but who are not detained. In this time of COVID-19, what would stable citizens do without state and federal aid? That reality applies much more to individuals who do not have stability in their lives. Reentry resources must be increased and innovative solutions implemented in order to keep community members safe. This will take a collaborative effort on the part of the Sheriff's Department, the City County Health Department, the CJCC, and the Eau Claire community as a whole. I asked for the Committee on Judiciary and Law Enforcement to provide an oversight component for these operations. I asked for weekly briefings from the jail administration on jail capacity, COVID-19 status, and continued measures. Additionally, I request from jail administration to the public, encouraging collective efforts to ensure the welfare of individuals being released or struggling with issues that typically land them in jail. Law enforcement is viewed as being leaders in the community, and that leadership has never been so critical as it is now. As a person with lived experience, I am willing to partner with Captain Brzezina, as I have before, in order to accomplish similar objectives. I'm also willing to partner with any concerned organization, law enforcement officer, health department official, or community stakeholder to ensure Eau Claire County emerges from this pandemic as a county that protected all of its citizens. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Samantha, is there any additional speaker?
No, Nick, I only had 2.
Okay, then we will proceed. We have nothing under our reports to county boards or under presentation of petitions, claims and communications. Under first reading of ordinances. No, I'm sorry. We have nothing under first reading of ordinances. Our first item is referred by me. It is file number 120. Is the county clerk on?
Can you hear me, Nick?
Yes.
I'm sorry about this, but can I just get a little clarification? I see that Gibson may be on now, and I did not have him on roll. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Supervisor Gibson, are you there?
And Beckfield, is he on now too?
Yes, I am here and I've been on. Okay.
Okay, then there is 24 present, not 22. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that.
Yeah. You bet. File number 1920-120 is authorizing legislation and matters referred to be carried over to the next legislation session.
For explanation, I'm going to ask our county administrator to provide explanation. Catherine, are you there?
Yes, I am. And
Sorry?
actually, I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Very good. This resolution is created because the county, through the various legislation that has been passed both at the federal level. I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong. Forgive me.
This is Tim Sullivan.
Yes, thank you.
This is Tim Sullivan. This is legislation that we do on an annual basis when we come to the end of the legislative year. You'll see that there are 3 resolutions that are listed there. The county board needs to vote to carry those over to the next legislative session. If we don't do that, what will happen is that they will die, and then if they need to be considered, they have to be reintroduced when we go into the 2021 legislative session. We're asking the county board to take action on this tonight, so we would need to suspend the rules to vote on it tonight.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion on this.
This is
Supervisor. Move file 1920-120.
I think you have to vote to suspend the rules first, I think.
Okay, I make that motion to suspend the rules.
Is there a second to the motion to suspend the rules?
Second.
This is Robin Leary. I'm seconding.
Supervisor Wilkie, I'm assuming that you're not moving to suspend all the rules. Which rule are you moving to suspend.
Suspending the rules for, I assume, just this file.
So we may take up this item?
Yes.
I'm sorry, was that yes?
Yes.
Let's see. You can make it simple, I think. All those in favor of suspending the rules, indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed by nay. It is unanimous. We may now consider this resolution.
Okay, now we'll move that we approve resolution 19-20-120.
I'm sorry, which ones?
Well, I assume that, well, if we suspended the rules, do we need a motion, Mr. Chair?
No, the rules are suspended. The resolution is now before us for consideration. Do you have a comment you want to make about the resolution?
No, other than this is something that we do at the end of a term, and I would encourage your support so that we can take up legislation that needs to be acted on by the new board.
So your purpose was simply to take action tonight on this. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to this?
Jim, I'm not clear as to what the motion was for. If we suspend the rules, we act on all three tonight, of which we don't have the paperwork on immediately. If we hold them over, to the next session, then we get to look at it at the appropriate time at that time. So which is it going to be? Are we voting on all three to be approved? No. Or are we voting just to bring them into the next year?
We're voting
There's some confusion, if I may. This is Tim Sullivan. I think there's some confusion as to the need to suspend the rules. Normally, when we have a resolution that comes in, it would come in for a first reading, or it would come in through a committee.
Right.
And if it comes in for a first reading, it would be referred to a committee and then come back and voted on. Because this is coming in for the first time before the board, we have to suspend the rules to have it considered at the next meeting.
So yes,
that's the only rule that's being suspended is that you can vote on it tonight as opposed to having to wait to have it come back.
And we're simply, just as a clarification, we're simply we're agreeing that these items will be carried over. That is what we're doing. We're not taking any action on the items. We're simply carrying them over to the next meeting.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. Is there any other comment? Any other discussion? All those in favor of file 120?
No.
Is that a yes from the dog? Okay.
It is indeed. He's sorry. He's out of turn.
In favor of resolution 120, file 120, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed by nay. Thank you. It is unanimous.
Chair Smeyer, may I interrupt?
Who's
I
talking?
apologize. Kevin Supervisor Stilges is on. He's a caller and I just need to unmute him so I can hear him speak. May I do that?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
I'm here all along, as well as on the human resources meeting. So I will go on mute at this point. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Supervisor Stelzis is with us. Okay. All right. The next item on our agenda are the reports of standing committees, commissions, and boards under 2.04.160 and second reading of ordinances. First item is file number 110 from the Committee on Human Resources.
Designating employees of Eau Claire County as essential and emergency responders in response to the Federal Families First Coronavirus Response Act and Governor Evers' Safer at Home order.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved, Colleen Bates.
Moved by Supervisor Bates, second by
Martha Neiman.
by Supervisor Neiman. Thank you. explanation. I apologize to Administrator Schaaf. This is the one I really wanted to call on you to explain. I apologize. So will you please provide explanation?
Certainly. The county is required to pass this resolution identifying who their essential and emergency responder employees are in order to be compliant not only with the state Safer at Home legislation, but the federal legislation that is the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. Designating,
Sorry, I was going to call on Supervisor Beckfield to report the action of his committee on this.
It was approved 4-0.
Do you have any additional comment, Supervisor Beckfield?
I do not. We had a lengthy discussion, and it sounds like this is what we need to do to make everything fall in line with Governor Easter's motions. So that's it.
Thank you. Administrator Schaaf, did I cut you off there?
I'm fine.
Okay. Is there any additional comment? Discussion.
This is Judy Gatlin. I'd like to make a comment.
Please.
While I understand and I voted in favor of this, I see it just as another element where civil service employees give 120% all the time and there's just this assumption that they're always going to be there and that their reimbursement and their pay is just so great that they can just be there and not get any of the other advantages that are coming to private employees. That's all. Thank you.
Is there any additional comment? Any discussion?
Nick, this is Colleen Bates speaking.
Supervisor Bates.
Thank you. In looking at this, I'm wondering whether or not, Catherine, whether this ordinance is a county by county ordinance. Are the essential employees that are considered essential in one county going to be considered essential across the board? Or is there some ability for counties to have input on what they consider to be essential?
This is Catherine. Each county is required to pass a resolution determining which are essential employees. And we went through the list of our county employees, and because our operation is still in full swing and we are still providing service, we have decided to call all of our employees essential and emergency responders because even those in payroll are supporting our frontline staff, whether they're in the jail, protective services, the courts continue to operate. And so there would be very few, if any, of our employees who would not be considered essential at this time. We're also redeploying staff into our emergency operations center and being cognizant of the need to maintain a healthy workforce so that we can continue in those essential operations.
Thank you. That clarifies it for me.
Okay, thank you. Is there any additional discussion?
Chairman Smyer, this is Robin Leary. I'd like to ask if someone could clarify if an employee, while they're being deemed essential with this or an emergency responder, will the individual employee still have an opportunity to be able to meet their family needs if someone is ill? Will they be able to take leave, or does this mean they cannot do that? Could someone clarify that?
Administrator Schaaf?
I will start, and Tim Sullivan, the Corporation Counsel, may add some information in. There is ability under the emergency sick leave provision for employees to take time off personally, or in the case of family members taking care of children. One of the things that is occurring with this is extended or emergency sick leave And the thing to remember is that FMLA and the provisions of FMLA are still in force and still in play. And so employees are still able to apply for FMLA leave as they need. Tim, would you like to add anything to those comments?
Under the FFCRA, which is the federal legislation, there are two components to it. The one for paid sick leave is essentially sick qualifying events, and that would remain in effect for Eau Claire County. Those 6 qualifying events is if the employee is subject to federal, state, or local quarantine or isolation order related to COVID-19. Employee has been advised by a healthcare provider to self-quarantine due to the concerns related to COVID-19. 3, the employee is experiencing symptoms of COVID-19, medical diagnosis. 4, the employee is caring for an individual who is subject to an order as described in paragraphs 1 or 2. And 5, the employee is caring for a son or daughter if the school or place of care of son or daughter has been closed. And so that would be for the sick leave provision, which will still be providing for employees. What we're not doing under this act is providing the expanded FMLA, and that would be for care for a child who is not able to attend school.
Supervisor Leary.
Thank you. I just wanted to say I think that covers the questions I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional discussion?
Yeah, this is Supervisor Schneider, and my sticking point with this, and I did vote for it, is I don't think it speaks very well to elder care or care of other family members, but it is what it is, and we need it.
Is there someone?
Supervisor Schneider, if I could respond to that, when we Human Resources meeting, you had raised that issue, and I've had a chance to look at the act now. And the qualifying event for Family Medical Leave Expansion Act is that it is care for a child under the age of 18. It doesn't relate to elderly care. You know, if you need to take off time to care for your mother or someone like that, that may still be a qualifying event under the regular FMLA law, which still applies.
Schneider.
I understand that, and I voted for it, and I still think we're not considering nearly enough care of other family members. But that's a separate discussion.
Thank you. Is there any additional discussion? Supervisors, I assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor of file number 110, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay? I hear no nays, therefore it is unanimous. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is file number 94 from the Committees on Judiciary and Law and Highway.
To create section 10.30.040, damage to county highways by horses and horse-drawn vehicles, and to amend section 1.50.020A.
Thank you. This is a second reading of this, so I'm calling for a motion.
Well,
Jim, I approve it. I make a motion.
Was that Dunning?
Yes.
Motion by Dunning, second by Wilkie. Was that Wilkie?
Yes.
Okay. Motion by Dunning, second by Wilkie. Speaking to it, I'm going to ask Supervisor Henning to make comment first. If he's on, is he on?
He's not on.
He's not present.
Supervisor Wilkie.
Yeah, this came to us from Highway Committee, and my understanding is Highway Committee supported this unanimously.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. This we reviewed, and in fact, during the comment period, we had 3 individuals that came specifically to speak to this issue, they were representatives, elected representatives, at least from township to speak to this issue and speak in favor of us moving ahead with this ordinance. In fact, they were quite concerned that they wanted to testify when the board took this up. Obviously, it might have been more challenging for them to do it, given us having to do virtual meeting. But they spoke in favor of it. They provided us with some pictures, and it's been said pictures are worth 1,000 words of the damage that is done to our roads by the cleated hoofs of horses on vehicles when it's not snow covered. They were quite telling the damage that was caused to the roads, as well as the horse manure on the roads are by no means a pleasant experience for the there. The questions were asked by the committee in terms of what efforts had been made with the bishops of the Amish community. In fact, there's been ongoing efforts with this. When they did bring it to their attention, what's happening, it seems to correct for a short period of time, but then reverts back to the same issue. We were assured at the, this was brought up by one of our members, that there will continue to be dialogue, even if subject to approval of this ordinance, with the bishops and to elicit their cooperation with following it. I can tell you from a personal hand experience, as much as I certainly don't like the damage to the road, for some, they might not think the manure out on the roads is a problem. But on a personal level, in our retirement, we purchased a used our version of a Harley for country rides, which I enjoy. We experienced taking a country ride out into the areas where the manure is on the roads, and it's not supposed to be there. The farmers are fine; they're fined if they off. And then returning home and driving that vehicle that we enjoy into the garage was not a pleasant experience. So on a personal level and also as a representative, I would encourage your endorsement of this. I'd be happy to answer any questions, as well as there might be somebody from Highway Committee that might want to speak. I should also mention John Johnson from the Highway Commissioner was at our meeting and was in strong support of this ordinance.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Any member? Okay, I assume that you are ready to proceed to a vote. Supervisors, we're going to do this by voice vote also. We're voting on file 94. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed by nay. It is unanimous. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to file 94. I'm sorry, file 103 from the Committee on Finance and Budget.
To create section 4.05.002 of the code, payment with coins or tainted currency.
Can I have a motion, please?
I so move. Nancy Coffey.
Moved by Nancy Coffey.
Tammy Schroffnagel.
Second by Schroffnagel. Speaking to this, Supervisor Pagonis.
Yes, I'm prepared. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, thank you.
So, in the past, and with some frequency, individuals have come in to pay their taxes using either coinage or bringing in soiled currency. And there are two issues associated with it. One is a safety issue with regard to the soiled currency. Madam Treasurer has indicated that people have brought in currency that was wet that had to be dried out and stuff like that. And in this case, when cash is brought in, it has to be counted prior to the person leaving the window. So we start with a safety issue to have all of that coinage and the soiled currency to be counted. But then there's a secondary issue of the time it takes and individuals lining up. So what this ordinance would do would be to prohibit individuals bringing in a considerable amount of cash or any type of currency that has been soiled or defiled in any way. This would not only apply to the treasurer's office, but any area within the county that accepts currency, such as, planning and development, or the sheriff's department, or register of deeds, or county clerk, or clerk of courts. So they all regularly accept fees or payments for licenses. So in addition to Madam Treasurer, the Treasurer's Office. So we ask that this be supported both from a safety issue and just to note that this has been percolating for a while. I've been discussing it with Glenda for quite a while. And so it's not really related to the current COVID situation, but it makes it even more poignant in a situation of the individuals at the treasurer's office or in any of our offices having to accept cash, that it's just not really appropriate. So we're requesting that that you would consider this favorably. The downside, of course, is someone comes to a window with money to pay for something and it not being accepted, and that individual having to go to a bank and getting a money order or doing it differently. So that is the downside, that individuals are coming to make a payment that may not, for whatever reason, be accepted. But I think for the safety of our employees and for the expediency of not having people wait in long lines, I would ask that you support this ordinance.
Thank you.
A question?
Yes, Supervisor Schneider.
Is it any currency that's not accepted or just dirty?
Well, it's currency that is determined by the employee to be soiled in some way or contaminated. So
right.
it would be determined at the time. With regard to coins, individuals would come in with bags of coins, and that's inappropriate. If it were a few quarters, that's not a problem. But we really don't want individuals to come in with substantial amounts of coinage. So it would be determined by the employee at the time it's being accepted.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion?
Yes, I have a question.
Is that Bert Moore?
Yes.
Yep.
Supervisor Moritz.
Yes. I'm a little concerned about this. I'm concerned about this. This may seem technical in nature, but it seems to me that coins and dollar bills in America are legal tender. And because they are legal tender, if someone wants to pay with a coin or a dollar bill, it is legal tender. And I'm not certain that I wonder, can we actually refuse to take legal tender for a legal debt?
I'll ask Corp Counsel to comment on that.
I understand your comments. I think that the intent of this ordinance is really related to the safety and economy of individuals that work for the county. We do occasionally have individuals that will come in and as a means of getting back at the county or the county employees or somebody that they have a gripe with, will come in and try to pay not thousands of dollars with pennies. first of all, there's a large amount of bags that'll come in and you have to move that around. Then you have the process of counting it, which could take hours if it's all pennies or if it's small.
As a business owner working.
Likewise, people will come in with documents or money that is soiled. Sometimes it's bodily fluids. Sometimes it's things that we don't know what it is. And again, back to the safety and protection of county employees. It's not saying that you can't pay with something other than currency. What it's saying is that we're not going to, if you try and come in and pay with more than $1 in coins, employee has the right to say no. That doesn't mean that the employee can't say, yes, you can pay $10 in coins if you have $10 in coins. But if you come in with $500 worth of coins and they're all pennies, the employee the right to refuse that and say, go to the bank, have them run it through the machine and come back with $500 cash. Essentially is what it's doing. So,
Supervisor Morris.
Are there some people that I understand the issue, but I'm wondering why. I understand some people do this if they have a grudge or they're being mean. And then are there some people who simply keep their money not very clean in a mattress, or they save all their quarters and this sort of thing? And so, and that you really haven't answered my question. It is legal tender.
Absolutely it is.
So it has to be, it has to be accepted. And I suppose, so my concern is just that I'm not certain that that this is flying in the face of what we should legally do. So I see that I understand there's a problem here, but I understand the issue too. So
how should we proceed here?
I'm done with my comments. I'm done with my comments. Thank you.
Just to speak, I can hear another voice.
This is Robin Leary. I'd like to say something briefly. I think it's the difference in common sense when something is meant as an attack on an employee, which frankly, bodily secretions these days is an attack. I think it's a safety issue. If it's just someone being kind of ornery with piles of coins, I think you have to just judge on an individual basis. I think the wording here allows the individual basis to be made, and I think we need to pass this to be supportive. Thank you.
This is Supervisor McKinney.
Yes.
I agree with Supervisor Leary, and especially with the situation we're all living in now. I think it's applicable to support this.
Thank you. Is there any additional comment?
Yes, Kathy Schneider question.
Supervisor Schneider.
Is this legal according to our corporation counsel? Because I see Supervisor Moritz's point of, can we legally say we won't accept legal tender?
Corp counsel?
Yes.
Thank you for your succinct answer. Okay. Supervisor Schneider, is that sufficient for you?
Well, I would like a little more, but
I don't think you're going to get more from the Corp Council, frankly. Sorry, I'm formality there.
I have a comment.
Oh, who is that?
Russell.
Supervisor Russell. Yes.
I believe it was brought up in the Finance and Budget Committee that other counties have such a rule. Is that correct?
Are you directing that question to the chair of the committee?
Yes.
This language, this is Tim Sullivan. This language was based on a resolution that came out of Dane County.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
And it hasn't been challenged, or?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comment, discussion on this item?
This is Supervisor Cronk. I did have a quick comment.
Supervisor Cronk.
Thank you.
I too agree that, people should not have to take any legal tender that's soiled with, bodily fluids or, be put at risk or safety. I absolutely agree with that part, but I also am listening to Supervisor Maritz's comments, and I'm wondering if it's very vague and on a case by case basis. How do we know that employees, and I trust our employees, but everybody has, a bad day, or perhaps they're dealing with a particular individual that has given issues in the past. How do we know that if somebody brings in $50 worth of coinage or $20 worth of coinage because that's all they have, maybe they don't have a bank, that's going to be turned away on a case by case basis, and there's not soiled coinage? I'm wondering how are we going to keep this fair if it's very up to the individual on a case by case basis? It just seems like there could be potential for types of discrimination.
Chairman Smeyer, this is Supervisor Pagonis. I'd like
Yes,
to respond
Supervisor
to that.
Pagonis.
Thank you. The treasurer's office has 4 or 5 employees, and during hire times, there are 2 individuals who get hired on for collections. The way it's a very close quarters, and so I think that if there were a situation where the payments were questionable, they would probably call the treasurer to make the decision. It would not be necessarily something that one of the temps would make a decision on their own. So I think it's less likely. I think going back to the statement about, well, if someone came in with $50 of coins or $20 of coins, in addition to whatever other part of the payment, I think that's where it gets more questionable, and they would probably run the coins through a machine. It wouldn't be that big of a problem. We're talking about if people come in with hundreds of dollars of coins, large bags of coins, or rolled coins that were clearly just picked up from the bank because they're rolled. So yes, we're going to do it on a case by case basis, but there's no intention to act in a discriminating fashion beyond to discriminate when it's a soiled or contaminated currency. I mean, certainly we want people to make their payments. We don't want to make it more difficult for them, but we also have an obligation to keep our staff safe, and I think that's what the intent is behind this ordinance.
Thank you.
Chairman?
I was asking for...
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Lavelle.
Supervisor Lavelle, please.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, there's one way you could do with the coins. I know bags of coins weigh a lot and it's hard for people to drag them around, but at the Wells Fargo Bank here in Eau Claire, they got rid of their coin machine. So would they just say, we no longer take coins, we don't have a machine? That would be the way I'd do it, and it is a simple way. And we'd be hauling bags of coins in. As far as money, money is, my wife worked at a bank system for 30 years. Money's the dirtiest thing you're gonna have. Now, if somebody brought in money banded in $1,000 increments and stuff, you'd almost have to take that. But yeah, money is handling now. It's not good. But the only guy I knew that really liked cash coming in there was our previous treasurer, Larry Loca. He was always fond of having cash come in. So
I don't think that we'll go down that road tonight. Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Any other discussion?
One more comment very quickly.
I'm sorry, who's talking?
Supervisor Bates.
Supervisor Bates, please.
At a time when we have seen liberties that have been limited purely on the basis of public safety, I think that all of us have come to realize that there are some things that happen purely because it makes things safer. And I do believe this is one of them. And I don't believe it's an overreach to really simply address this on a public safety issue.
Thank you. Any other comment or discussion?
This is Judy Gatlin. I have a comment.
Yes.
There's nothing
Supervisor
more.
Gatlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's nothing more important than the safety of our employees So I agree with what Supervisor Leary said earlier, as well as Supervisor McKinney, and I also like to call the question.
Okay, we have a request to call the question. Is there any other discussion? I hear none. Supervisors, we'll do this again by voice vote. All those in favor of file 103, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All those opposed by nay. I hear no nays. It is unanimous. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is file 113.
Amending section 2.12.140B of the code, Eau Claire County Code Medical Examiner Fees.
Could I have a motion, please?
I so move.
Motion,
Nancy
Schneider.
Coffey. Second, Coffey.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Schneider, second by Supervisor Coffey. Explanation, Supervisor Pagonis.
Thank you. This is a compassion change that it's pretty self-evident in the fact sheet. Is pretty straightforward. But basically, the situation has been that the county has a cremation fee that is charged. And there are certain circumstances in which the funeral homes or cremation society don't charge that fee. And that is specifically if an infant is born and then dies within moments. And so they take a breath and then die. So it's not considered a stillborn. And so this happens a few times a year. The county has been going back and still charging the family for the cremation of the infant. And so this ordinance is this change is to stop doing that. And so cases where the funeral home or the cremation society has waived the fee, then the county would also similarly waive the fee. The impact on the county would be about between $300 and $600 a year. So basically, we estimate between 2 and 4 situations when this would occur. And this is for compassionate purposes.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? I hear none. Supervisors, we will proceed to a vote on, sorry, I lost the file number. File 113. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. It is unanimous. Thank you very much. Before I adjourn the meeting, first of all, I want to express my gratitude, and I'm sure your gratitude, to the people who made this meeting possible. It's been quite complicated, so a special thanks to Samantha Cole and Dave Hayden, and I'm sure there are others for helping us with this process. Also, I want to indicate to the board that on behalf of the board, I will be sending a thank you note to all the employees of the county who are working in this difficult time. So, supervisors, we've reached the end of our agenda. We are adjourned.
This program was brought to you by a cooperation between Newsworks and the City of Eau Claire. A transcript of this meeting is available for the hearing impaired. It will be available within 7 days of this telecast. Call 715-839-4912 or TDD 715-839-1689 or write Eau Claire City Clerk, P.O. Box 5148, Eau Claire, Wisconsin 54702-5148. Newsworks is made possible by continuing community support. If you would like to volunteer or make a donation, please contact us via phone at 715